Hello! Welcome back to Lex's Tech Talk. We're resuming our discussion about the propositions for centralized digital currency and its various benefits with the esteemed Professor Carlson. And also some rock musician and a commentator.
I don't see what the problem is here. Digital currency is so convenient. We exchange credits digitally every day already.
This is a brand new currency. It's programmable, meaning it has a set of rules behind it. It also gives the government unprecedented access to the public's personal details and private transactional information.
We have enough surveillance already. Now our spending? Physical credits are anonymous and have worked for years.
If you have nothing to hide, what's the problem? One of the beauties of this is that we can prevent fraud. And yes, being programmable, we can introduce rules. Like, say, if somebody tries to buy a drink and they're underage, it won't go through.
So you're already talking about restricting what people can buy.
What? So you want kids to get loaded?
If you can track what kind of items someone is purchasing and prevent them, there's dangerous ramifications there. Surely that's beyond the scope of a currency. Can we pull up a clip of Chancellor Edgewing talking about this?
Okay, if we must. One sec.
Programmable nature of the currency gives some fantastic opportunities for us to guide citizens in making more sustainable, less socially damaging choices. Each item purchased has a carbon footprint value, which will contribute to a user's social environmental score. Issuers can check these scores at the point of sale. If the user is over a certain threshold, the sale can be blocked. This will force users to make better choices. The options are limitless. We can have expiring dates and more.
Oh, yet again, we have a push to punish and control individuals and not the corporations.
She was talking theoretically. They did say that the central bank won't be programming anything like that.
They said individual banks can. It would allow them to dictate what you can or can't buy, limitations on how much, who you can or can't support, all based on something within your personal details, how aligned you are with the bank's politics, how compliant. This is about control, not convenience.
Now, you're going off the deep end here, Omega. Par for the course for you, I know.
Guys, let's keep this debate rooted somewhere in reality.
Oh, it very much is. Look at what's happened to Ruben this week. His bank accounts were unceremoniously shut down because his banks didn't gel with his personal beliefs. And this is without programmable currency.
Now they've added color charts to really dial up that sweet panic. 'Cause remember, kids, the more you're quivering in your boots, the more chance you'll hand over your delicious rights and autonomy to totalitarian authority. Behavioral psychology in action, folks. And boy, do they want you quivering, shivering in your homes. No vehicles, no free speech. Funny how it doesn't affect the elites of the world, but the average citizen. The quote, science just doesn't add up. And guys, come on, they're changing the measuring standard from air to ground to raise the numbers. Now, why would they do that? And even so, we've recorded temperatures higher than this throughout history.
He's not alone. This is happening to countless others.
Ruben. Well, my position is quite simple. If someone is expressing harmful views, then they should be penalized for the good of society. A bank is a private company. They can treat their clientele as they please.
Banks aren't hotels. These are vital utilities for our day-to-day, for survival. Someone's personal opinions should never come into play here.
It's a private company. They can do what they want. I praise them for their forward thinking. And by the way, digital currency is extremely safe. It's fast and...
Okay, if everything's digital and someone doesn't have access to their digital bank account, what then?
Well, that's the consequence of
non-compliance.
No, really, I want you to say it. What do? Someone has a view that you've labelled wrong, so you've cut access to their funds. How do they feed themselves? How do they feed their families? How do they house themselves? How do they survive? You are giving them a death sentence for having a thought. Do you want them to die like dogs on the street?
Again, with the dogs. What is it with you? Well, look, if they fix their thinking, maybe there's something that can be done.
You're avoiding the question.
I am not avoiding anything. That's an interesting word, avoid. I mean, there's lots of vowels in that one. You got A, There's O and some I's.
I agree. It's a fascinating word.
I think so too.
Now that's cleared up. On to a different subject.
If it was even possible to prove that someone had changed their thinking, you're saying that everyone has to conform to the same values and political ideas as you to function. That's a dictatorship.
Come on now, how is that a dictatorship? We're talking about banks now, not government.
Well, we're supposed to be living in a democracy. Elected officials with different stances, in theory at least. If all the vital institutions like banks line up with one side, you're forcing people to align with that same side in order to survive. So it's essentially a one-party system. That's not democracy, that's a dictatorship. That's tyranny.
You people, you always jump to the extremes. If you don't like the politics of your bank, go to one that has the same nonsense viewpoint that you do.
And when there are none?
Look, as I said, this is all to remove harmful views and create a more inclusive society.
By excluding people?
I'm curious, what would you define as harmful? We've seen things labeled as such not because the truth was harmful to the general public, but to the self-interest of big business, politicians, and pharmaceutical agencies.
You're such a conspiracy bot, Omega.
I am not a robot.
But okay, I'll play your game. I'll play it. By harmful, I mean misleading the public, offensive behavior, or non-inclusivity.
And again, misleading the public sounds exactly like what I just said.
By the way, offense is entirely subjective. I mean, you could be offended by the way I look at you, even if my intentions are totally neutral. So, why am I at fault for your thoughts?
It's not always about your intention, it's about the outcome of your actions. You've got to be inclusive.
It's interesting how G66 advocates use language. When they talk of inclusion, they mean excluding those who don't hold the same values. When they speak of removing prejudice, they mean to introduce more of it by treating people not by the content of their character and their actions, but by whatever group label they have.
Look, you are not quite getting it. Certain demographics have an advantage. Some have a disadvantage. So we identify that and level the playing field, okay?
Skewing more like.
Those lips of yours just don't stop moving, do they?
Did you hear that? He's just implied my lips are too big. I'm offended. Is that an ethnicity thing?
No, that wasn't what I meant.
Yeah, but that's how I took it. So that's definitely what it was. Can we all debank the professor now, please? Get him off.
I didn't mean that. You know I didn't. Now you're just making light of... No,
Hey, you know what? I think we'd better call it there.
We must not support this new currency. Stand up and speak out.
Yes, whatever. Okay, thanks to the professor for joining us and educating us on the benefits of digital currency, and thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Tech Talks.